When we get comfortable doing the same things over and over again, sometimes we make things more difficult than they actually need to be. But I have learned that it's such a good habit to pause every once in a while and really ask myself, is there an easier way? Can I make a change that will cause my home and my life to function better, easier, smoother? So, welcome back, my friends. Today, I'm sharing a family favorite dinner with you, and then I'm also going to get some cleaning done around my house. So, along the way, we'll just chat about how I have made my life easier by choosing to simplify so much in my life. Those of you who continue to watch my videos, I just really want you to know that it means so much to have you here. And for those of you who may be new, welcome. My name's Emily. I love sharing practical and biblical homemaking encouragement here on my channel through a vlog style. I'll usually just take you through my day or whatever I'm up to around the home, and then we will chat about homemaking. So I hope that you enjoy today's video. The idea of making things easier really affected me with my first pregnancy. So this was almost 12 years ago. I had really severe morning sickness, and it's the kind that just puts you in the hospital. It makes you feel like you're going to die. I mean, that's really what I felt like. But I only had it for the first trimester, so I was starting to feel better right around Christmas time I was starting my second trimester. And it was just the beginning of December, and I had all these lists of things that I wanted to do or I felt like I needed to do for Christmas. But the problem was I was so tired, and I really didn't have my full strength and energy back from after being sick for weeks. And one day I was staring at my list and just trying to plan how I was going to get everything done. And I just felt so overwhelmed and honestly just not even excited about Christmas at all. And that's when it hit me. I thought, I really didn't have to do all these things. No one was forcing me to do them. I had a choice in the matter. I could say no. So in that moment, just looking at all of it, I said, I'm going to start by making a not doing list. And so this was a list of all the things that I did not want to do that Christmas. They just were not a priority. And then I looked at my list of things that I did want to do, and I thought about how I could make them easier. And that was just so freeing. And that Christmas ended up being so much fun. It was one of my favorite Christmases to date. I was able to just really enjoy it rather than running around stressed out. And so I took that season of my life and I applied that little lesson that I learned to homemaking years later when I was just trying to make it super complicated. One of the first areas that I simplified was meals. I used to think that I had to come up with these fancy new meals every single night, but I stopped feeling guilty about repeating meals and just sticking to simple dishes. And now when I look for new recipes, I always make sure that it has ingredients that I already have on hand, or just look for recipes that are not going to be super complicated. We will often have tacos or some version of tacos like enchiladas once a week. We'll do burgers once a week. And I'm okay with that. If my family enjoys those meals, they're easy for me to make. And I just was able to simplify in that way. Instead of following complicated steps for every single meal that I make, I just choose easy meals that don't lower the quality, but it just simplifies it. I also made my cleaning easier. So I didn't stick to rigid cleaning schedules. That just did not work for me. But what actually changed everything was just simplifying how I approached my cleaning. So I focused on staying on top of the daily basics, like starting a load of laundry every morning, cleaning up the kitchen after each meal, sweeping the floor each day, wiping off the countertop, just sticking with those simple little things and tackling these small messes before they became big ones just made my home feel so much easier, and cleaning my home became easier. So I stopped trying to also have a perfectly clean home and perfectly organized. So instead of spending a bunch of time dusting by moving every little thing and getting every single nook and cranny, I usually just do a quick wipe down of the surfaces each week, and then I'll do a more detailed dusting every month or every other month. And that has just simplified it, made it so much easier. Another way that I made cleaning easier is by using microfiber cloths and just buying less cleaning products. I love using microfiber cloths. I use them for dusting. I don't even use a spray. I just use a dry microfiber cloth. Sometimes I will dampen it just a little bit, but that's all I use for dusting. I'll use them to scrub down my bathroom countertops. I will use it to wipe down the bathtub. I use them for cleaning my windows and my mirrors, really just all over my home. And I also cut back on my cleaning sprays too, and I only purchase a few cleaning products that I know work really well. And I have less to manage. I have less to store or less to figure out how to use in my home. And of course, cleaning will never be completely easy, but doing these things by simplifying has really made it a lot easier. Another big shift for simplifying was my schedule. I used to say yes to any opportunity that came my way. I would say yes to things that sounded good or things that I thought I should do out of guilt. But when I did that, I always felt rushed and my weeks just felt so full, and I rarely rested, which meant that my home and my family were just getting my leftovers. By the time I came home, I was tired and I didn't want to put energy into making a meal or cleaning my home. And so my family just, like I said, just got my leftovers, and it should be the other way around. This is a bit controversial, but we are, as women, our priority should be our families and our homes. It doesn't mean we can't do things outside of our homes, but that is our priority. So when I started choosing the easy way with my schedules and commitments outside of the home, that meant I made fewer commitments. And of course, that doesn't mean that I stay home all day. We still have a very full life, but we choose not to stuff our lives so full with so much that we feel overwhelmed, like we're coming and going all the time. And that means that I have learned to say no to things that are good, but they're not the best things for our family to do. And in the past, I have filled my life with a lot of really good things, but that only would lead to frustration and burnout. And I left little room for the best things because I was so consumed with all of these different little good things. I remind myself often of Psalms 90, verse 12, which says, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." And wisdom doesn't mean that we have to fill every moment of our days, but sometimes it just means giving extra space in our moments so that we can be present where we're at and we can rest when we need rest and then work when we need to work. I think sometimes we believe that if something feels hard, it means we're doing more for God and that we are going to please Him more. But being busier and just complicating our lives with more things and more doing is not what God necessarily wants us to do. Jesus already did the work for us. He wants us to rest in Him. So I stopped trying to do more in order to find my worth in all the things that I was doing. Instead, I choose to just simplify and to find easy ways to accomplish what God has placed in front of me each day. This chicken recipe is one that I've been using for about a year now. It's my family's favorite. Anytime I fry any sort of chicken, I use this recipe, and I actually only use about half of the recipe, but it always turns out so good. And that was the most complicated part of the meal. And then I also added in a sweet potato. And then I also had that salad kit that I was mixing at the beginning of this video. It came from Costco, and I do not recommend it. Our family did not like it. If you like dried apples or more of a vinegary dressing, you might like it. If your life feels heavy right now, I want to just gently encourage you to pause and really get honest with yourself and ask yourself some questions. How could you make something simpler? How could you choose an easy way and still be faithful in what God has called you to do? You don't have to prove yourself through busyness or keeping up with anyone else. You are allowed to choose what supports your home and your family and the calling that God has on your life. So sometimes being faithful just means doing things in a simple way. So I hope that today has encouraged you to do that. As always, I have free resources for homemakers, and I will leave them linked below. Thank you for joining, and I will see you in the next video.